Hello and welcome to the Daughters of the Milky Way podcast. My name is Natalie and I'm here with my co-host Amy, and we have a special guest, Scarlet Ravin, for the White Fox Medicinals. And we're so excited to be here gathered today talking about manifestation and whatever else wants to come through, because this is as we've stated, this is very much a spirit-led podcast. So we're following the energy of what feels true for the moment. So before we even get started, just wanting to invite you all to just take a moment, allow yourself a moment of presence. You can, if you're not driving, if you're not, if you're not handling a vehicle, this is inviting you to close your eyes, notice your internal environment, taking a deep grounding breath in through your nose and out, arriving in this moment and feeling into your awareness as you're listening to our conversation and noticing whatever comes up for you. And I will pass the mic over to you, Amy, so you can introduce Scarlett. And yeah, we'll get started
Yes,
diving right into the Milky Way.
we're diving right in. Well, welcome, Scarlett. Thank you for joining us today. We're on the wave of manifestation and creation, and we would love to just hear about you, how you got started, how you got into White Fox Medicinals, all that stuff. Just take us on a little drive.
Okay. Well, I call it the fox den. My life is like living in a fox den. So I was born super attracted to animals and plants, and I found my community in animals and plants from a very young age. So that was always my focus. And then when I started going through mainstream school systems, it was not a coherent resonance. So I never really graduated college, but I was hyper drawn to doing alternative certifications like herbalism. I took a lot of different shamanism trainings, and I found my gift in serving herbs. It allowed me to be my sensitive self, but still serve the community. Because I started doing massage and shiatsu and teaching yoga, and I found that too much human contact was something that threw me off at that time. But I wanted to be of service. So if I could formulate and bottle medicine and send that out, that allowed me to be in constant service. So that's kind of why I chose that route. And all the formulas I have are me talking to plant spirits, gathering different levels of every medicine. To me, plants aren't just plants. Like, they all have a soul and they all have something to say. And they know who they want to work with in terms of other plants to create like a felt effect for humans. I don't see them as something separate from humans. I know they have different bodies or manifestations of how they're showing up for us, but I just don't see animals and plants as like separate species. I think we're all on the same level, and they're like my best friends. So I get to gather and formulate my best friends and then send them out to other people I love. So that's how I got into White Fox. And to me, manifestation is self-mastery. So since my whole life focus is just on, not that I just want to be enlightened, but I want to sculpt the 3D realm. I want to step into my God creator mode, and I want to sculpt everything. I want to do miracles. I want to have all of those experiences. So that's what manifestation is to me. It can also be the receiving of things, because that's the sculpting of the experience. But mostly it's about becoming very evolved, emotionally intelligent, living from a state of joy, honoring and loving everything I can as much as I can.
Of that. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
beautiful.
the medicine of the plants. As you're
Yeah.
speaking through around manifestation, it just feels like, oh yeah, that's the medicine of the plants, like the teachings of them.
Yeah.
That reminder that we are creator beings. We're not just like side characters or like NPCs. We're very
Yeah.
much in the weaving of creation. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I know you mentioned
Did you?
wanted to ask you because you live with animals, and I'm curious of, I have a feeling because what you just shared about all the human contact, but I'm curious about also because you have horses, and are there other animals where you live as well? If you could talk
There
about that.
So I do have cats that live with me. I used to have a whole bunch of chickens, but then a bobcat transitioned my chickens. So right now it's just me. horses and the cats, which it's part of the circle of nature out here. So basically, like this chapter of my life, I've always had to live amongst a lot of other humans just because of where I was at monetarily. And for the past 6 years was the first time in my life where I got to create a chapter where it was just me, nature, and animals. And that was something that I was craving since I was like 2 years old. And I've been in this chapter. This is like, it's like a heaven landscape where there's no interference. I get to evolve and really figure out who I am, get my voice online. And to be honest, this chapter's kind of coming to a close where I feel like I've been initiated into knowing who I am, knowing how to serve, knowing how to handle my sensitivities and then be around humans again. But I had to have this like shut in hermit chapter where it was just me, plants, and animals for, I guess, 6 years in order to know how to be in the world, to be honest. Because I was born really sensitive, and that created a lot of pain for me because I didn't understand how to handle everything I was feeling and experiencing and then also function in society. And this has given me the gift of learning how to manage myself, show up in a way. And for the first time in my life, I feel like I want to be around people and it's an authentic feeling.
That's awesome.
So I am planning on moving like to more of a, not that I'll ever not live rurally, but I'm planning on moving on to another horse ranch that'll be like 15 minutes from a city.
Oh, nice.
So I can like go to yoga centers and do in-person trainings and teachings with people again. Because right now I'm like 45 minutes out of a small town. I don't have access to folks like us.
Yeah.
But if I move, I'll have access to like really juicy new friends. And so I'm excited. I think it was a crucial way for me to be able to figure out how to be on the earth, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that's very, it almost feels like an important part of a highly sensitive person to have that period of like hermiting. Like I'm currently kind of in that sort of, I'm in like a hybrid version of that, of hermiting, because I was living in the States and I just felt like a very clear calling of like, okay, no, like you need to leave. And then so now I'm in Bali and yeah, there's something about that of like understanding that. I like what you said about manifesting being like the self-study because it feel or self-mastery rather, that's what you said, self-mastery, because it is very much like I know something you speak of a lot in your YouTube channel and then also within your school too is around identity. And I know that's something that, a lot of like like I would say manifestation masters, even though they wouldn't call themselves that, but they speak a lot about identity and that it's almost feels like it's like embodying the phoenix
Yeah.
in the sense of like allowing yourself to die, your identity to die in a sense to then and for a highly sensitive person, what do you feel is like, I don't know, tools or ways to navigate that with these heightened senses that one has as a highly sensitive person?
So I'll be totally honest, I couldn't figure it out while I had the onslaught of other humans around me. It was me basically in this constant survival mode of over processing.
Yeah.
But then when I got to be alone and not have to process anything but my inner transformation, it was all about self identity and then removing all the programming that had nothing to do with my soul. And then just removing. The phoenix is just constant death cycles, like dying to who people thought I was, dying to what I received from society, and then getting to that purity of the God within, and then living from that place. That took isolation. And to be totally honest, it is fairly painful to go through cycles of death and then not know who you are and then tuning in and then doing that on a cyclical basis, kind of like becoming a butterfly from a caterpillar every 4 to 6 months over and over and over again, digesting all those layers of programming to finally come out and be like, oh, okay, this is who I am. This is what's going on. This is the power I have.
Yeah. I wanted to ask along that way, because really 6 years ago, that was, 2020 when everybody went inside. And, that was a time of introspection for a lot of people, which was kind of cool. I always thought, I like this. This
Yeah.
is cool. Were there any people, like during your time, you had any mentors that because I know you talk about Joe Dispenza and Abraham Hicks. Were there any other mentors? Because you kind of needed a community, like you're talking about heading out more towards the city and becoming in a community. And in that 6 years, were there, mentors or people you listened to?
So my life prior to that 6 years was me like traveling the world and studying with different masters and teachers. So from my mid 20s to my late 30s, I was doing work trades at different retreat centers. I was studying under Zen masters and whirling dervishes and like you name it, I was there doing some type of a work trade to learn from them. So what happened with me, not that I wasn't reading books to educate myself in that 6 year period, but it got to this place where it's more about embodiment at this point for me. Like it wasn't about wanting more information. It was more about just sitting in the silence of everything I had gathered for that 15, 18 years and wanting the time to put it into practice. And then, yes, there were additional, like I did a course in miracles. That was like the first thing I did for a year when I went. That was to give me some sense of structure and also to get over the trigger of the God word. Like that book helped me get over that trigger and kind of neutralize myself to God. And so there were teachers. I would say the Course in Miracles was a teacher. And then I love the Masters of the Far East, that book series, that 7-book series by Baird T. Spalding. I must have read that 5 or 6 times. That stuff was more entertainment to me and like a sense of community. Kind of what you're saying. I guess these books were the sense of community for me. I'm just now getting back into Joe Dispenza. I never was super into him because I thought his like stir the space, like something
Yeah.
about that kind of like, what the hell? Like, what are you doing? And now I'm kind of over that and I like him.
That's so
But
real.
initially I didn't like
So real. I
I
feel you
mean,
on that, Scarlett.
I don't think I've listened to any of
Oh.
his
he's like an acquired taste, I think, because it's
Yeah.
so I was just like, why are you talking like that? Like, don't talk. But but now I'm super into him. Now I do those weird ass meditations. Like,
We love each
That's
no,
other.
funny.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So now those books, like, they're more so I don't feel alone.
Yeah.
Because like I'm alone a lot. And when I read those books, I'm like, yeah, there's people just like me just jamming on this stuff every day.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's so interesting because
Yeah.
I feel like there's like a theme of like, and I'm not just saying this because this is the Daughters of the Milky Way podcast, but that does feel like a very, like, it would be, uh, like almost ignorant of me not to like comment on the fact that there's a galactic connection with all the things that you're speaking to, because I feel, and
Yeah.
I don't know if this resonates for you, but I feel like plants. Let me reverse a little bit, because plant medicine work like in the jungles of the Amazon, for example, like the curanderos who work with sacred plants like ayahuasca, bobensana, noyorao, like all the different plant masters. Um, they receive from the cosmos the icaros, the frequencies, the sound frequencies that are emitted that are taught to them by the plants, but it comes from the cosmos. There's a star connection. And I feel like it's like humans have that. Like if there's anything that we all have in common, it's the connection to the cosmos. As that we're not
Yeah.
just like, and like that's like the divine connection. I was laughing because I feel like you're saying, I love you, Joe. Thank you so much for your wisdom. Which I feel when Joe's touching into some galactic connections.
Yeah.
And it's so
Yeah.
interesting because it's totally, yeah. When I first heard, like, a friend introduced me to Joe Dispenza's work, and then I was like, look, but why does he have to talk like that? I had to acting. Like I noticed for myself as well, the more that like I feel like with things that trigger us, it's always like an opportunity to look of like, okay, what's here within me, instead of
Yeah.
focusing on like, why do you gotta talk like that? Or why do you have to have a voice like that? It's just an opportunity to go inwards and like see what can or what's wanting to be shifted or whatever it may be. And once I did that for myself, I'm like, oh, okay, I can vibe with this now. It was like, it almost feels like a frequency realignment that happens internally to like shift because I'm like, this being, I almost don't even want to call him a human, but this being like knows something, like there's something that's working for him and
Yeah.
for people that he like that are like studying what he's like putting out there. And I want to understand this and learn this and master this skill. And so therefore like what's within me that's blocking this. And I'm curious with your school, like what are some things you've noticed with your students that are like some blocks that come up for them? Because I imagine people who are listening here, like I mean, I'm imagining they're listening because they do want to understand manifesting better and having a different perspective. And there are so many teachers, and I love what you were saying about the books. I don't know about that book series, so I'm going to look into that
Mm-hmm.
and the different
Yeah.
perspectives because I feel like there's so many. It's like manifesting would be like in the center, and there's so many different teachers that are looking at that same thing that's at the center through different perspectives that can resonate. Like for some people, Joe resonates. For some people, Abraham Hicks. For some people, Jose Silva. There's just so many teachers. Neville Goddard. Like there's so many. There's so many that I don't even
Yeah.
know. And so I'm so curious, going back to the question of like, what are some things that you find with your students that are blocks that come up for them around receiving the teachings, or even like for someone who's maybe stepping into this, okay, like I believe manifesting is possible, but I just don't know. I just don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's such a great question. I'm going to give you a two-part answer. So, my herbalism training consisted of like a shamanic woman that was living in Crestone. And I went to her yurt, and the initiation into training with her was to go walk down by the creek, find the grandfather tree, cleanse in the creek, meaning get naked and jump in, and then put your crown to the grandfather tree and don't come back to the yurt until you hear the children laughing. And so this is like, it's like negative 10 degrees out, right? And that's also a big part of it is like extremes for the initiation. So there's like 8 of us in this school. So we walked down, only 2 of us decided to jump in the creek. It was me and this other woman. And then we all put our crown. It was very obvious who the grandfather tree was. We all started holding hands with our crown. And then in like a few minutes later, you just hear these children's spirits like circling us and laughing. And we're all crying, right? Like it is so apparent that this 3D world is such a minimal focal point of what's actually going on. And to have that experience, and then we go back to the yurt. And then she lights a fire in the center. And then we do a shamanic journey and she plays the drum and we meet. She didn't tell us who we were meeting, but the intention that she set for this journey was to meet our spirit plant, our plant spirit that guides us through this world. Right. So that's how I entered. It was basically exactly what you said. Like my training wasn't in books. It was in being present with the plants enough to get the purest information that has no 3D programming. Yeah. Because the truth of plant medicine is that it's always evolving. You can't capture it and write it down and pass it on. Okay. They're evolving with us. So books from the 1960s are not going to be relevant. Yeah. With technology and with all this other shit going on. Gather it directly from the cosmos is your best bet of helping as many people as possible. Yeah. So when I have a student, because that's my imprinting, right? Yeah. So when I have a student that has a challenge or a block, it's not up to me to do anything to help them. I point to a forest and I say, go find a tree or go find a boulder because rocks have similar powers, or go find a creek and sit there until your answer comes. Sit there until your block is revealed to you. I'm not there to like heal anyone, but I am there to hold a container and say, like, if you look over here, something will rise within you and answer for yourself. Because I want every student to be self-reliable, self-empowered. It's not about me. I'm just the space holder. Yeah. And if they can't walk out of there empowered, that I didn't do my job. Yeah. Right? Yeah.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
That's kind of, that's who I'm just like, the trees will help you. Like, stop messaging me. Like, you're anxious. Like, stop looking at me.
Oh, not your
But to
sister.
be not your savior, but I believe in them. I believe in them 100 million trillion%. I see how powerful each and every one of them are. And I know that when you're looked upon, someone looks at you and knows you're that powerful, like your confidence goes up. So I tell them, like, you have this in you. I have zero doubts you have this answer in you. You can heal this for yourself. It's in you. But then get out of the interference patterns and allow nature, because trees aren't trees. They're not they're like we look everywhere for masters, and it's like they're inside the trees. They're inside
Yeah.
the trees. They're right here. You just have to get quiet enough.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It's almost like you teach them personal responsibility for themselves.
Yeah, that's my only job is to show them how powerful they are and
Yeah.
remind them when they forget, and then give them some activities they can do for further remembrance.
What is manifestation and what does it look like to you? Like, can take us through those steps for people who, may want to start manifesting.
So the first thing would be to realize that nothing is solid. Everything that you're experiencing with your human senses is in the past, and it's only 1% of what's actually transpiring in the soul's experience. There's 99% of other stuff going on that precipitates the three-dimensional experience. So manifestation is about self-mastery in the sense that you activate your relationship with that other 99% through your spiritual vision. And then that entails mental discipline, which means thought discipline, which directs your perspective and your belief patterns, which means emotions, like whatever thoughts you think is going to generate emotion. So self-mastery in the sense that you have enough mental discipline to control your thoughts. You don't make up stories that create negative emotions because you're reacting to something in the D. That has nothing to do with manifesting. That has to do with reacting. So you want to respond to your soul, and what the desires that are moving through people's souls are God's desires, in my opinion. They're not the desires of that individual being. They are 100% guaranteed to become an experience if we allow pure alignment with the force that had the desire through us, which means self-mastery. Control your thoughts, have mental discipline, meditate in the sense that you're going to start entering into the other 99%. I got a jump start by doing a lot of plant medicine. And when you do plant medicine, you're living in like an 8-hour experience of the other 99%. And you're kind of like, oh, like this is totally real. And then when you come back to and the medicine is done working through you, the world does not look the same anymore. So when you log more time in the spirit realms than you do in the 3D realms, I think one starts to understand that this is totally pliable. Like I can I want, and also like there's no time. Like everything is happening right now. It's just a shift in consciousness and perception that allows you to have different experiences. My animals will receive what certain people would call miracle healings rather than vet visits. Like if a horse gets a stomach ache, which is called colic, I'll observe the three-dimensional effects that are going on. I'll go into my soul. I'll project that horse in its perfect health and wellness. And then I'll walk away for 5 minutes. And when I come back, that horse is now representing the vision that I put forth. So it seems super simple, but if you're doing that in alignment without resistance and without fear, that's how quick and easy it is to sculpt. Works with humans. Like I had a friend that was in ICU and someone was texting me, shit, now they're going through this. And I'd be like, no, they're not. Like that's past. And they're like, okay, yeah, that's past. Now they're going. So it's really just like transferring. We're God. Y'all, we're all God. So whatever we are, and people that are not in control of creating the reality are the easiest people to do miracles with because they're completely like, they don't have I don't know if I'm saying that in a way that's compassionate, but if someone is a master, it would be really hard for me to do a miracle on a master because their vision would probably be more potent than my vision over them. But if it's the other, it's easier, you know?
Well, we do have a few minutes left, and I know that you have a question for her that you want to remember from her little note.
Well, I think, yeah,
Yeah. Oh, you did that. Oh, you did that. Okay, that's good. All right, we covered it. Yeah, I thought.
yeah,
Okay, so
I
oh,
oh, I can speak to what you were saying, Natalie, just to kind of amplify it. I am appreciating deeply the coherence that's going on here. I'm feeling just as inspired as you are. And what I found by at a very early age not believing in school systems, and that was like a natural response for me. That wasn't something that I decided to do. It just felt like it was something in my spirit. And then when I went to massage school, in order to like travel and be a massage therapist, you have to take something called the MLEX. And it's like a lot of questions, and it's in a room with like fluorescent lights, and then someone like watches so you didn't cheat and shit. And it was my first experience kind of back in like a setting, right, that would resemble what I totally rejected. And I sat there and I read the first couple of questions, and they're multiple choice. You have to pick one of four. And I was like, God, you know what? Like, I can't do, like, my brain doesn't work to where I learn something and then I can regurgitate it. Like, I am 99% intuitive moving through this world. And it's like, where is da 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 with the physiology and yada yada yada. And so I was like, if you want me to be a massage therapist in another state, you need to light up every single right letter that I'm going to pick. And I was like, I'm not even going to read the question because I don't fucking know the answer to any of this shit. Like my brain doesn't onto anything. And I literally, it's like a 2.5 hour test. I finished in like 20 minutes and I passed with like I was just scrolling and it was like eight light up and I was like click and it was like, okay, C. And I was like, oh, D. And then I walk out of there and the woman's like, you're done? I was like, yeah. And they tell you like right away if you pass because it's electronic. She's like, you passed. I was like, tell me my score. She's like, 80. Got like an 83. I was like, awesome. Well, but that's the power of like aligning with, that's the power of believing and living from it. It takes all stress, it takes all fear away. Heaven is not this thing outside of this realm. Heaven is those experiences where you're like dancing with spirit in a joyful, playful way in situations that, because my teacher was like the MBLEX and all the other students were like, oh my God, the MBLEX. Like, what about God? Like we can't allow these D structures to ever, in my opinion, never allow a 3D structure to overcome the power that's within you. That's when you don't feel the heaven frequency.
you're my kind of girl.
I call my inner God. But I think what you're talking about is also like a morphogenetic field, right? Like in the collective, like accessing. And I think that's what Joe Dispenza does is he's created a morphogenetic field that we can heal anything physically through these meditations, like the blessings of the energy center. So and that field is alive. And the more people that do it and then share their testimony, the field gets stronger and more palpable. So I think like that's what that runner did, created this field in the consciousness that people were like, oh, it's a part of me because we're not separate, right? We're all one heartbeat.
Yeah, I like that. Well, we're coming to the end, and I have so many questions. Might have to bring you back on, Scarlett. But and I get with the intuitive. I was like that in school too. I was like one of those. Like I just wanted to go to school to be social. That was probably it. And
Yeah.
those standardized tests to be like, okay, do you
Yeah.
remember those standardized tests? Be like, I don't care.
Yeah. I wouldn't take them. I mean, I literally wouldn't take them. If something felt like pressure, no one could make me do it. I would just sit there and I'm like, it's a refusal.
Yeah, basically.
My parents hated it. Hated it.
I know. in school. Let's skip school today.
Yeah. I
Let's
was
skip.
like the girl that, like, they kept sending to, like, the counselor, and they're like, "What's wrong with her?" And then they'd be like, we don't think anything's wrong." Like, I couldn't make I still can't. I can't make myself do anything that's not aligned with something inside of my heart. So,
Yeah.
if it was, like, art class, I got an A. If it was, like, English,
Yes.
I got an A. But if it was, like, some bullshit like algebra, I was like, I got S.
Thank you. Thank you. Went to summer school for math. I mean,
Yeah.
okay. I don't know when I'm going to use this. I just want to be a hairdresser.
Yeah, that's not the right math. That's not God's math. That's some bullshit math.
Is there any last things that you would like to tell people? And then where we can reach you, where everybody can reach you?
Well, you guys are super fun. I would love to come back on. I had
Okay.
the time just hanging out with you guys.
Yeah.
So my herbal rem I know, I wish our time wasn't ending. I'm having a really good time. So my herbal website is whitefoxmedicinals.com. People can shop those goodies there. I do have a school, SKOO, one of those schools. That's called The Sacred Dose. Manifestation Ladder is my YouTube for free manifestation teachings. And the community on the Manifestation Ladder is so fun. Like, people are interacting, and there are so many masterful creators out there that are supporting one another on the channel. That's my favorite part. Is it's a place where people can come to if they're feeling down, and then remember their power and leave the channel feeling uplifted. That makes me super happy. So that's where people can find me.
Aw. Thank you so much, Scarlett.
I do. Yeah, I host horse medicine retreats. I do have horses that share medicine and meditation and physical touch and things like that. I am moving this year, and I am rearranging my herd currently. So that's why it took me so long to book with you guys. Like, my schedule is normally much more open, but there's other things going on that are beyond work that are, like, filling up my bandwidth right now. So I do have some people that booked retreats for August, but because of the transition, I'm only booking this year. I'm only going to do August, September, and then we'll see how much I can handle. But next year should be a full on year, and I do offer 2 a month normally. This is just an odd year.
Yeah. Well, we wish you the best in your
Okay.
move and your new plays and being closer to community.
Yeah. Yeah. People are
Yeah.
gonna, like, be able to hug me in person. I'm super excited.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, I've been missing you.
You can reach us if you'd like to be a guest. You can reach us at Daughters of the Milky Way podcast at gmail.com. Thank you, everybody. Take care.
Bye.